Hi, I'm Devin Asaro, SEO Content Strategist at iAcquire. Today we're going to do another chapter from Patty Moogan's The Link Building book. This one is Planning and Executing a Link Building Campaign. It's actually the longest chapter in the book, and I recommend if you're going to read only one chapter, really read this one because it goes in depth how to actually do an actual link building campaign from the very beginning pretty much to the very end. So there's a lot of information. I'm really only going to be giving you little bits of it, but I really recommend reading it. So he starts with the planning phase. Basically, how do you go about actually selling a link building campaign? And one of the things that he really highlights is that when you're selling a link building campaign, you shouldn't really just be selling links. It's not about just selling 20 links, but you actually want to focus on the metrics that matter to your client. So you might think about ROI or the sort of things that you would actually want your link building campaign to accomplish. Because if you say build 20 links and then you go in to meet with the client and they ask what you've accomplished and you say you built 20 links but you didn't increase traffic, you're not going to be too happy. So rather than focusing on just selling a set number of links and just trying to make the client happy, focus on the actual things that matter to their business and try to use your link building campaign to actually achieve those goals. The second step, once you've sold your link building campaign or in the process of selling it, you want to be collecting your link building assets. So, if you're dealing with a client or if it's your own company or if you're in-house, you really want to look at what your company actually has to offer in terms of link building, because the link building relationship is always about what can you offer to the people that are going to be linking to you. So you want to be collecting those. The first one obviously is content. What content do you have that is link worthy? So that's sort of tied up in a content audit, right? You begin to think about what's link worthy and what's not. What people do you have? Like, do you have any high profile people in your industry? Do you have connections to people outside of the industry who are also influential? If you have somebody in your company, for instance, that speaks at a lot of conferences, that's a great linking opportunity. And again, products discounts, especially for e-com sites. If you have specific products that are really popular or really shareable, like for instance Nike does a lot of this with their customizable shoes. That it's just a great way to get links, and if you can offer discounts as well, that's another way to get links. Next is to start analyzing your own backlink portfolio and then analyzing your competitors as well. So when you're looking at your own, you really want to be discovering the problems with it. Like, for instance, are there links to dead pages that need to be redirected to active pages so that you can hang on to the link equity? Or are you getting tons of links from spammy sites that may actually be hurting your rankings? And then you want to look at your competitors' backlink portfolios so that you can replicate their successes. And when you're doing both of those things, the key link metrics that you want to look at are anchor text, linking root domains, site-wide links, page ranks, and no follow attributes. So anchor text, you want to see, for instance, if you have, the highest number of anchor text to your site are non-branded keywords, like for instance cheap credit cards or discount tires, and none of the top anchor text actually are branded and have your company's name, which is what you would expect to see in a search or in an actual link. So if you have a lot of that, it's probably telling Google that you have a pretty spammy backlink portfolio. So that's something you really want to balance out. Next is linking root domains. So how many unique linking root domains do you have, and what sites are they? If, for instance, if you're getting most of your linking root domains from sites that are either unrelated to your vertical or just aren't very trustworthy, then that's not really going to help you. If you have tons of site-wide links, that's also a clue to Google that it might be spammy, because these are the ones you sort of see on spammy sites that are essentially just the blog roll on the side of the website that have a bunch of obvious SEO keywords, like again, like discount tires, things like that. Page rank, again, you want to pay attention to the page rank of all of your linking root domains. If you've got a high page rank coming in from most of your top linking root domains, that's a good sign. If you're getting lots of 2s and 3s, then you really want to focus on changing your link targets. Then no follow attribute. Are you getting links from pages that have the no follow attribute, which basically tells Google not to pass any link equity over? Because if you're getting tons of those, chances are they're coming from like comment sections on blogs and things like that, which are more black hat techniques, and publishers have kind of caught on to that and are now putting no follow attributes on those pages, so they're not actually passing any link equity over to the site they're linking to. The next step is actually executing. So the question that he asks, especially when looking at your content and when you begin creating content that you want to use for a link building campaign, is who gives an expletive? Because when you're creating content, a lot of times you'll get really excited about an idea, and everybody on your team will get really excited about the idea as well, and that can create a false sense that you've actually come up with a good idea. But really it's just something that may appeal to you and all the people that are in a similar environment to you. So you really want to take a step back and begin to think about who it's actually going to appeal to and whether or not anybody's going to want to link to it. After that, you want to begin finding link targets. He highlights a lot of tools that you can use. For instance, follower wonk, which is really great for finding people who are influencers and who are interested in whatever subject you're writing about. So if it's people that are interested in fitness, you put fitness in a follower wonk and find people that have that listed in their descriptions on their profiles. So it's a great way to sort of narrow those down and then begin pulling reports on that people, so you can sort of conduct targeted outreach in specific areas where these people already care about this subject. He also suggests the SEO Moz competitive link finder, BuzzStream's link prospector, and using the scrape similar tool for Chrome to actually scrape SERPs and begin using those results as for targeting links. And then the last step, obviously, is conducting outreach. So he recommends when conducting outreach, and it's been my experience that this works well, that every outreach email that you use should involve some level of personalization, should highlight what you're actually offering to the link prospect, and a call to action. So personalization is as basic as including the person's name in the email, so actually doing the research to find the name, or making a specific comment about the site, talk about an article you liked, or ask a question about something that the person has recently written to show that you're actually interested in the space. Then you want to immediately highlight the offering. What are you actually giving the person? If it's a great piece of content, it's a great piece of content, or if it's a link back, whatever it is, you want to highlight that. And then a call to action. What do you need the person that you're reaching out to do for you? So it may seem obvious that you're reaching out for a link, but you really want to highlight that very clearly. Specifically, what do you want? What is the anchor text that you're looking for? Anything that you can offer to the prospect. And then again, you want to follow up, because a lot of times the first time you reach out, it might not be the right time, and then that email just gets buried in their inbox. So even if you don't hear anything back from them, follow up with another email, because it might be the right time, and they may have just forgotten about the first one. So that's it in short. There's a whole lot more, and I really recommend reading the whole chapter. But that's it, and we'll see you next week.